Hey guys, welcome back. In this module, we're going to be talking about stabilization. When we feel overwhelmed and overloaded, it can be really difficult to start moving forwards. And as we spoke about in the first module, when we try to focus on the outcome, we end up just finding more anxiety and more overwhelm. So everything that we're going to do in this module is practical tools that you can use in your everyday life in order to check in with yourself and just essentially steady the ship. So at this stage, I don't need you to worry about the future and what decisions you're going to be making and even planning anything. When we start to later dive into some of the activities which will help you to start finding direction, you'll feel like you're making a decision and a plan from a place where your baseline is much lower and you're just feeling steady rather than trying to make a decision when your cup is already full and then you're starting to pour water on it and the cup is just overspilling. So let's start with mindfulness. Now again, you might have your own understanding or definition of what mindfulness is, and from social media you might see what other people define as mindfulness. For me, it is really important to just clarify that mindfulness is not about perfection. It's not about enlightenment, it's not about spirituality, it's not even about religion. And it's not a challenge. There's nothing about mindfulness which is you need to meditate every single day for the rest of your life. Mindfulness is so simple, and there are tools that I will be giving you later on in this module and this lesson that you can start to use, and it will take you a couple of minutes. And the beauty of these tools is they will just compound over time. So if you start with just a couple of minutes, just 5 minutes here and there, whilst that might seem small, over the course of a 10-day period, that 3 minutes becomes 30 minutes. And for some of you on this course, this might be the beginning of your journey. You might have never done anything mindful before. You might not have ever meditated. You might not have ever done any breath work. So this is really important for me, that the tools that I give you are things that you can just pick up when you're at your desk at work. Something that you can just do for a couple of minutes that's going to make you feel better. Because the truth is that mindfulness is not a quick life hack. It's not going to magically change your life in the space of a couple minutes. Mindfulness is an ongoing process, and the more that we do it, as I said, even if it is just a few minutes of a day, over time, we will just start to understand our inner mind, our inner world, and we'll just understand how we feel. We will then find it easier to deal with and manage and react to just life's ups and downs and situations throughout our day. Whereas before, we might snap, we might not know how to deal with things. By being mindful, you'll then start to develop this inner check-in. So if we're going to talk about mindfulness, we need to talk about urgency. We live in a world where we can get absolutely anything at the click of a button, and we can open our phone, we can catch up with someone, we can send a voice note, we can ask AI for something, and as a result, we're wired differently. So now we expect immediate results all of the time. And unfortunately, urgency feels productive. If you are constantly moving, and if you set yourself a challenge or a target, and you're working towards something, then you can actually feel like you're moving forward, whilst it might actually just be burning you out. It might be causing you more anxiety. So for me, it is important to actually let yourself pause, which is something that none of us are very good at in today's world. And take it from me, this is your permission to let yourself pause. It's permission to let yourself rest. You don't need to be working on yourself. You don't need to be working towards something all of the time. The fact that you're here is amazing, and it shows that you want to change and you want to have a different experience as your life continues. But in order to do that, we need to take one step at a time. And the step that we're taking in this module and the lesson today is it's okay to pause. It is okay to rest, and you don't always need to be working on yourself because you are good enough exactly as you are. So I'm going to give you 3 really simple tools, things that I've used in the past and things that I've taught other people and they found it really beneficial. First tool is really simple. It is essentially just the question of asking ourselves, how do I feel in this moment? And whilst that sounds too easy, it's really difficult for us to remember to actually do that when we have all of these distractions and we have all of these things going on in our day. We very rarely actually stop to ask ourselves. What I recommend that you do in order to start checking in with yourself is just set an alarm on your phone. So this can be the same time every day for a week or a month, depending on how you want to do it. You could even change the time every day. But when this alarm goes off, let's say it was 2:37 in the afternoon, whatever it is you're doing, just take 30 seconds and just check in. So you might be with a friend, you might be working, you might be in the middle of a workout, and the fact that we just forget that we even set the alarm, it really starts to just break out of this habit of never checking in with ourselves. And it can be really uncomfortable at first, it can be really difficult. The alarm might go off and you might be in the middle of something and you just snooze it or you just cancel it and you just carry on. But it's a really good way of just starting to check in with ourselves. And another thing that you could do is start to tie in that check with an activity. So for example, when you have your coffee, rather than just reaching for your phone or opening your journal to think, right, I need to figure this out or I need to work through something, when you sit there and you've got your coffee in front of you, just take 10 seconds and just feel how hot the cup is. Just take a sip and just feel, how does this taste? How does this make me feel? It's just really simple split-second things which can just start to get you to shift into a bit more of a mindful mindset. And it's, as I say, it's not a case of doing this all of the time. I don't want you to go through your whole day asking yourself, how do I feel? How does this make me feel? Because it will just make you feel more exhausted and it will just burn you out and you'll be exactly where you are now. So these are just really small, simple tools that you can start to apply to your everyday. There is a really good app. It's a free app. I have absolutely no affiliation to it whatsoever. So I'm just recommending this because this is something that I've used. And it's an app called How We Feel. And essentially what it does, when you open the app, it offers you to check in and it gives you a wide range of emotions and feelings. You can add them, you can search them. And the great thing about it is it actually takes the pressure of us because we're so used to being on our phone. So it doesn't feel like we're stopping and going into ourselves, closing our eyes and becoming like a monk or a Jedi. We're still in the coffee shop. People might think we're on our phone, but we're just actually just checking in and we're clicking, I feel angry or I feel anxious or I feel overwhelmed, I feel energized. There's all of these different options. And then the really cool thing about it is it tracks it. So it starts to build a picture over the course of weeks and months. And the longer you use it, you can actually start to see patterns. So for example, if every single Wednesday at 3 p.m. you're feeling anxious, it will show you that that's the time that you feel anxious. Then you can start to look back over a period of time where in 2 months' time, you might look back and think, okay, what is it that I'm doing every Wednesday morning or Wednesday lunchtime? And that's where it comes back into the clear and commit cycle that we spoke about in the last lesson, where you can actually start to make changes and you'll have information and feedback that you can actually use rather than sitting there doing the cycle and thinking, well, I don't remember how I felt last month. I don't remember how I felt this week. And when you are burnt out and when you are exhausted, it's really difficult to check in with yourself. So this app is great and it just completely takes the pressure off you because you can just, your alarm goes off, as we already said, open the app, check in, and I think you can even set up notifications and alarms on the app, so you wouldn't even have to do it yourself. The second thing we're going to talk about is meditation, and I am not perfect when it comes to meditation. It's something that I pick up occasionally. I'm currently in the process of trying to reinstate the habit of meditation. As someone that I really struggle with the sense of urgency and I really struggle with needing to be busy, so I apply all of these tools in order to try and be more mindful myself. But I feel the problem with meditation is how it's marketed. When anyone looks at meditation, it is always someone in a perfect view, they're in a jungle, they're by the beach, and it's eyes closed, it's perfect posture. It is meditating for hours on end and having spiritual awakenings, and it is perfection. And I think it's so bad because it makes us feel like we're not good enough. When we sit there and we think, wow, I've closed my eyes and I'm already bored, or your back starts to ache, or a minute in, maybe even 20 seconds in, you're just like, why am I doing this? You just feel like a failure and you start to beat yourself up, which completely defeats the point of meditation. And I think no one actually explains how to meditate. We're just told that meditation is great and you just close your eyes and focus on your breath, and trust me, it will work, it will change your life. There's so much science behind it, which is great. But here in this lesson, I am going to give you some really straightforward tools in order to learn how to meditate. So firstly, meditation is not about completely clearing the mind. It's not about sitting there and having absolutely no thoughts. The goal of meditation is just to be still. It is essentially understanding that being a human being, your brain is going to give you thoughts. So whilst you're sat there, it is learning how to manage those thoughts. As they come up, you recognize them, you let them pass rather than holding on to them. But like anything, that takes practice. And when we first start, those thoughts become completely overwhelming. Those thoughts are really busy, really loud, and we sit there and we just end up having our conversation with ourselves. And for me, that is absolutely fine. If you sit there for 2 minutes, if you sit there for 30 seconds with your eyes closed, you do a few breaths, and your whole time you're just thinking, this is boring, this is pointless, this is pointless. I'm here to tell you that it's not pointless. And over time, it will get easier. Okay, so how do we actually meditate then? I found there's 2 or 3 methods which work really well for people that are just starting out. So the first method is simply counting backwards. So the way that it works is you'll find a comfortable seat, you can do it in a chair, you can do it laying down, and essentially you just start to breathe in through the nose and exhale through the mouth. And then just start to have a normal breath. So if you breathe through your nose, you breathe through your mouth, just whatever is comfortable for you. Start to count the breath in and then start to count the breath out. So it will sound something like this: 30, 30, 29, 29, 28, 28. But when you become distracted, you just restart. So you might go 30, 30, 29, oh, did I get the food out of the fridge? 30, 30, 29, 29, 28, oh, did I send that email? 30, 30. So the goal isn't to get to 1. The goal isn't to beat your record. It is simply just a way of bringing your awareness back to your meditation, and that is ultimately the goal. The second way, which is great if you are a more visual person, is to actually develop a place, a consistent theme that is going to work for you. So I'll use an example which was taught to me, and I still use it when I feel really overwhelmed and I feel like I do need to actually bring myself down, or I'm unable to focus on counting. I always use this method. And just like before, find a comfortable seat. You can be laying down, you could be on a sofa, whatever works for you. Close down the eyes or just have a vision low. Like, you don't need to completely close your eyes if you're not comfortable. Start to just breathe, take a couple inhales through the nose, exhale through the mouth, and then just start to breathe normally. It doesn't need to be this perfect breath rhythm. And then what I do is I visualize myself out on an open field. I am by myself, and what I can see is a horse in the background, and the horse is kicking and screaming, and as you might guess, the horse is my mind for the purpose of the meditation. And what I start to do is, rather than focusing on the breath and rather than focusing on what I'm thinking about, I guide the narrative of my own thoughts. So I picture myself walking out towards the horse, and I am starting to calm the horse down, and then eventually I will start to walk the horse back into the stable and settle the horse down. Now, I'm not a horse rider. I've never been around horses. I would not be able to do that in real life. I'd probably be terrified if there was a horse in a field and I was by myself. But I found that this works really well for me. Perhaps you use that method, perhaps you develop your own method, maybe you use a dog or something else. But I found that having the visual aid and almost having the I am calming the horse down, I am calming my mind down, it really helps me to just reset whenever I need it, or it just helps me to meditate. And the beauty of that example is if you are getting distracted and perhaps you bring the horse in your mind, but then you start thinking about something else, you can just start again and you can just say in your mind, oh, the horse has ran off again. So off you go to greet the horse and bring the horse back in. And it's just this repetition. And ultimately what you'll find is over time, you might use the same method, you might use the counting method, you might use the visual method. And sometimes it will be really easy. Sometimes you'll sit there and thoughts will come, thoughts will go, you'll count down to 20 or 19. And other times you'll just do 30, 30, 30, 30, and it'll be thought, it will be thought, it will be thought, and it will just suck and you'll feel like it's not working. But I'm here to tell you that however you meditate, however it works for you, it can only be beneficial. The last technique that I am going to show you is actually a breathwork technique, but it is a very simple one, and it is something that I've used before interviews, before important calls. It's things that I've used before the gym or when I want to go to sleep at night. It's a way of manipulating the nervous system, and it's super easy, it's not intense. So you can literally do it anywhere, and it's actually quite easy to hide if you did feel a little bit embarrassed about doing it. So the way that it was taught to me in yoga, and I'm going to paraphrase this to make it easier to understand, is that we have two channels, and the left side is our feminine energy that will calm us down, and we have our right side, which is our masculine energy, and that will fire us up and get us more energized. And we can actually manipulate those two sides with our breath. So the way it works is we close off one of the nostrils, and we do it depending on what we want. The way that it works is we close off our right nostril and we just start to breathe through our nose and exhale through our nose, but we just keep everything through that left side. So I'll talk you through it now just so you know what it looks like and you can try it along with me. Essentially, we close off our right nostril and we just start to breathe in through the left nostril. So it's all nose breathing. So we inhale through the left nostril for 4, 3, 2, 1. We pause at the top and then we exhale through the left nostril for 3, 2, 1. Just pause at the bottom before inhaling through the left nostril again for 4, 3, 2, 1. Pausing at the top and then exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. You can continue like this for just a couple more breaths and then just take off the right nostril and just see how you feel. And that is a way of completely calming our nervous system. And as I say, I've used that before interviews, before phone calls, just to get myself feeling a little bit more calmer rather than feeling charged. So we've spoken about quite a lot in this lesson with mindfulness. I've given you some tools that you can use in your everyday life. We've spoken about urgency, we've spoken about pausing, and I've given you a couple tools, the How We Feel app. I have talked you through some very basic meditation, which you can start to try, and I gave you the left nostril hack. I hope you think that that's been really helpful. I hope you've enjoyed this class. In the next one, we're going to move on to some movement. It will be a very easy mobility drill that you can do in the morning, in the evening, or at any given point really, before you train, after you train. It's just another way to start to stabilize, but we will get into that and I will see you in the next lesson. Thank you.